So, Warcraft 3 just got some news that you're not going to really find about in the Warcraft section because it's indirect news. The Activision Blizzard deal seems almost certain that it's going to go through, and Microsoft will acquire Activision Blizzard King, which means that Warcraft in the future at some point, depending on how quickly everything gets merged and what the plan is, but StarCraft was up on the section for actual new content as a focus. It's probably going to be something long term where they work on StarCraft 2, start making content for that, and probably, if my guess is correct, Warcraft, the Warcraft series as a whole. It will probably take some time. Honestly, I'm going to be real with you. It could take like 5 to 10 years before we get to Warcraft 3. Maybe not that long for Warcraft as a series. It's really going to depend on how the focus is and how much resources get put into the RTS for Blizzard. I mean, it's also entirely possible they could have a StarCraft team and a Warcraft team working on both different types of RTSs. So maybe, because Definitive Edition, I mean, the Warcraft 1 and 2 are pretty old at this point, so if they wanted to work on a Warcraft 1, 2 Definitive Edition, then 3 Definitive Edition to make up for Reforged, they could do that, and then maybe eventually bring out a Warcraft 4. I'm not sure exactly how that's going to play out, but in the long term, I can definitely see them making a Warcraft 1, 2, 3 Definitive Edition, and probably even a new Warcraft, and StarCraft 1 and StarCraft 2, and eventually StarCraft 3. But this is over the course of many, many years. Like I said, it could be 5 to 10 years before we see any news on this front, because it's going to take several years to not only build the teams, but also for the whole merging process to actually get close to being done. Like, just getting everything all under one umbrella so the process is smooth when they're doing business. I don't know exactly what goes behind it all, but from what I understand, it's pretty complex. Now, there is some skepticism of whether it's actually going to go through. I mean, there is a small chance that it won't, but the major hurdles have already been, taken care of, and that is the Japanese FTC came out and approved it, no concessions. The CMA has dropped Sony's concern. The European Union, according to the leaks, have also dropped Sony's concern, and everyone's just focusing on cloud gaming now. Well, cloud gaming is not a very well-established market, and even if it was, Microsoft has been making tons and tons of deals with all the, let's just say all the cloud gaming, what do they call them, services. So, 10-year here, 10-year there, 10-year everywhere if you're a cloud gaming service provider. And so you have all of them basically approving the deal, so it's just unlikely for it not to go through. Sony was basically the biggest critic of the deal, and apparently it was leaked that he came out and says, I don't want no stinking deal, I just want to block this deal. So he didn't even care. So it's like, to me, it does not sound like someone who's worried about, them being run out of the business. So it was around that time also that a lot of the concerns for Sony kind of just dropped. It's like, you don't care about this. You're just trying to bully Microsoft with your larger market share to basically get it canned so you can still be the market dominant leader. And I think they've seen through it. It was also the time that Microsoft corrected the CMA's math on how they came to the conclusion that they did, that it would cost them it would run Sony out of the business for console department anyways. Could still be a third party. But in actuality, Microsoft would lose billions of dollars over the course of 5 years by doing this, and damage the brand of Call of Duty. And not just Call of Duty, but Microsoft products as a whole through the bad PR that doing such a thing would end up uh, incurring to them, you know. So there's that. Now, overall, I think it's going to be a good thing for Warcraft, and it sucks because I want Warcraft content now. I want new Warcraft products, even if it's spin-off games, like maybe like a World of Warcraft or a Warcraft ARPG or an open world Warcraft game. I can see a lot of those types of games being made under Microsoft's umbrella and just giving us more Warcraft content, period, spin-off games. But let's just assume the deal closed right now, this very day. It's going to take time to get the teams that want to work on such a product. Then you're looking probably at 4 to 5 years of development time on a brand new product or a spin-off game. So the bare minimum, you're probably looking at 5 to 10 years before we start seeing products related to this. I mean, look, Starfield was a product that was already being worked on by Bethesda, and we still haven't gotten that game yet. Now, granted, they did put more resources into it because, you know, they were able to thanks to Microsoft, so hopefully it ends up being better for it, but who knows at this point. So we'll just have to take the wait and see approach. I would honestly say if you're a StarCraft fan, you probably have a much larger chance of seeing content come out for you because StarCraft 2 exists. They would probably work on that first, start getting used to making RTS content, and then once, you know, they provide us a few years of, you know, like updates or like updates such as, you know, maybe new co-op commanders, maybe new game modes, maybe new campaign pack missions that aren't related to the main series but like just spin-off. Here's several campaign packs, you know, maybe some stuff that was happening around the time that StarCraft 2 was happening, you know, from different perspectives of what do they call it? Like maybe we see more behind the scenes what Narud or Duran was doing. So they could do stuff like that. I don't know what they'll end up doing in the long run, but I do expect to see StarCraft content, eventually Warcraft content. Diablo 4 is going to be coming out this year, so probably not going to see anything too crazy with Diablo. I mean, other than maybe updates and expansions to Diablo 4 in the coming years. Since it's supposedly a live service game, so I don't know. They got to do frequent content for that, like maybe add new endgame content overall. Definitely looking forward to pretty much anything in those three categories. I'm not sure how it's going to affect Hearthstone. I don't really look into Hearthstone that much. Same thing with Overwatch. Heroes of the Storm, from what I understand, is basically dead. What other games? I mean, that's for that. I mean, if you go to the Activision side of things, Crash Bandicoot, probably get another. They'll probably work on more games of that. Spyro's rumored to have them working on a new game. All these games should also appear on Game Pass. Like a lot of the Blizzard games over time will be getting added to Game Pass. If the ones that they can add right now as soon as possible will get added first, and the ones that they might have to work around a little bit, like maybe, for example, Warcraft 1 and 2, if they're old enough, they might have to make some tweaks to make it Game Pass compatible and get it onto the Game Pass. So, yeah. I think that pretty much covers it. There's not much else. It's going to take a while for us to see the fruits of the labor from this deal going through, assuming it does, because like the lawyers say, the mergers and acquisition lawyers specifically, there's no guarantees. Even if it looks like you got a 99.9999% chance of it going through because there's just nothing you could foresee going wrong. Sometimes one of these regulators or people making the decisions just have a bad day or a bad existence in general, like Lena Khan, who just has a hate boner for any corporations. Doesn't matter if they're, you know, it honestly doesn't matter if it makes sense to the law of whether they're monopoly or anti-competitive. It just, I mean, I'll just let her, what she said, speak for herself. You can Google it if you want a more direct quote of what she said, but she said something along the lines of, we don't need to wait for facts. We can just take action. we just take action. So basically saying, we're not going to wait for the facts. We're just going to block the deal. We don't care about the facts. We don't want to negotiate, yada, yada, yada. That's the kind of attitude that she has. It's why she's losing pretty much every single court case, except for the obvious one, which is the NVIDIA ARMS deal, and I think one other deal. But she's lost like 7 or 8 in a row. So I think it's going to go through the FTC, no matter what she says. Apparently, Democrats are actually getting sick of her. So that's a big... That is something nasty going on. If the Democrats basically say, hey, you got to leash her. She's ruining the image of the FTC and making big businesses worry. That's the other aspect. So not only are you worrying the Democrats, but you're also making the big businesses worry. They're going to look at it and say, hey, you got to cut this out. And they'll either fire her or they'll tell her to stop acting like this. Depending on what kind of person she is, she may not be there for much longer. So, I mean, they could keep her there, but honestly, it wouldn't look good for the Democrats. And, I mean, I guess it hasn't really stopped politicians before. So, I don't know. Either way, once it gets to the actual courts, it's just getting tossed out. Or it's going to be a very quick victory for Microsoft when the judge just looks at it and be like, yeah, you really don't got anything. Because if they did, the CMA would have it, the UK would have it, and there wouldn't be this discussion of pretty much allowing it and dropping Sony's concern. So, anywho, that's pretty much it. Let me know what you guys think. Are you happy that we might be getting Warcraft content in the future, or are you kind of... It's kind of bittersweet if you think about it. You know it's coming, but then you realize it's 5 to 10 years from now. 5 to 10 years from now. That's just kind of crazy to think about, that we'll probably see something related to that. Either way, thank you for watching. Have a nice day. I'll see you guys next time. Peace.